Adults care way too much about looking stupid. Being naturally talented at something is overrated. Go, get after it, beginners. I'm just going to show you guys my matcha now. Producer D's nuts made this for me.
Hello.
Hi. Hi, guys.
Oh, hey, pod family.
Potatoes. So, I guess, welcome back to the couch potatoes. A little potato gems. Yeah,
Flavor.
So, all right. Today's theme is being a beginner.
Yeah.
And I don't know why I felt called to, because we were obviously chatting. We were like, what should we talk about? And I was like, yeah, I don't know why. I just feel like being a beginner feels something that's like really.
It's what everyone experiences.
Yeah. In different ways.
Yes.
So, yeah, that's the theme. And we're going to delve more. But first, we're going to play a game.
Yes. So we're going to do our rapid fire red flag, green flag. But it's on beginner behavior.
Okay.
So it's one person gives a beginner behavior.
Okay.
And the other says red flag or green flag. So the one I sent to you last night was I asked 15 questions before starting.
And I'm like, yeah, that's
Green flag.
Wait.
As in, we need to define what red flag and green flag is.
Yeah, because, I feel like asking 15 questions before starting, I also feel like contextually, is that before starting, like you're already, let's say that it's a boxing class, you're already in the boxing class, and it's before you start the jab or it's before you sign up for the boxing class. Like, where is the start? Because I feel like asking 15 questions when you're in the class, fucking green flag, ask me more. Asking 15 questions before you sign up for the class, avoidance, red flag.
I think when you're in it.
When you're in it. Okay. And so what's your vision for red flag?
Red flag would be like, are you crazy?
Yeah. Okay. Yep. And green flag is like,
Absolutely, you should do it.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. And I can always come back to the context of, I'm going to close this so I can focus, and then I'm going to actually just create my own game for you soon. What did I say? I'll always come back to the context of in a beginner, I'm going to say pole dancing class. I would love to do pole dancing.
Okay.
Okay. I have no further questions.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're going to get in straight into it.
Okay. I love this.
Okay. So number 1.
Okay.
You won't try something unless you're reasonably sure you'll be good at it.
Whoa. Red flag. I feel like, yeah, I feel like if you have to be like kind of sure that you're going to be good at it, then that wipes out probably a lot of things. Because what if you're shit at it? Yeah. Barrier to starting, red flag.
Okay. Someone corrects you and your immediate thought is, okay, but I knew that.
Ooh, context is important. Okay, but I knew that. Yeah, I feel like the tone really matters because I can also hear in my head, let's say I go over to someone in a class and I'm like, hey, so just so you know, you bend your back knee when you do the cross so you don't twist your whatever. And that if that person was like, yeah, I already knew that, versus, oh yeah, wow, I did already know that. Yes.
Yeah, it's definitely a tone.
Yes, I think.
I do that when I spar. Or someone hits me in the head and I laugh and they're just like, are you okay?
You're like, mild concussion, but yes.
You get frustrated when someone younger than you teaches you something.
Ooh, you get frustrated when someone younger than you teaches. Again, I think for me, my brain immediately goes, regardless of the person's age, are they teaching you well? Are they teaching you in a way that you understand the information? If it's purely based on their age and it doesn't matter whether they're doing good or bad, I think that that's just ages. And I think that getting frustrated by that is a red flag. But, you know, if someone's not teaching in a way that is consumable or accessible, then yeah, age matters not.
Okay. You secretly love being the person who knows what they're doing.
Oh, I was going to say, well, my brain was like true or false, green or red. You secretly love being the person who knows what they're doing. I think everybody kind of does.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call that out. I think, especially when you're not expecting to be. We, for a Christmas party, went to a pasta making class. And honestly, I am so just like YOLO. I was pretty good.
Yeah.
But I was like not expecting to be. And I don't know if it's because I'm vegan, so my recipe was like kind of slightly different, probably. But I was like, la la. And they're like, everyone's fucking it up. And I was like, oh, I'm already up to the next kind of pasta. So it wasn't even secretly love it. I loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you didn't, you'd be lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. Okay. Some slightly spicier ones.
Okay.
You turn every new hobby into a goal with metrics, milestones, and a fucking spreadsheet.
Look, I mean, part of that is green flag for me because I'm like accountability, but also like I don't think I'm the person that would go so hectic into like learning knitting that I'm going to go to the knitting world championships. But I think a little bit of structure, goal setting is a green flag for me. For some of our close friends, probably not, but that would be a little bit not fun.
Yep. You'd rather be impressive than have fun.
Oh, nah.
Red.
I'm like, false, red flag.
Fun always.
Yeah, yeah, because good will take you so far,
Yeah.
I think.
And I think that especially resonates with us because we're not in our people pleasing era.
Totally, yeah. Yeah.
Or, yeah, people pleasing, perfectionism. Sometimes it's okay to just laugh at being silly.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay. Last one.
Okay.
You're comfortable saying, I have no idea what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah. Yes, absolutely. That actually feels so part of my core, but it's taken a long time to get there because as we almost brushed against in that last question, it's like people pleasing. You're like, no, of course, everything is under control. And of course, I know how to fly this plane. Give me the steering wheel. Wait, do you have a steering wheel? Whereas now I actually find the joy in almost going the opposite way. Even if I used to have maybe a little bit of an idea, I would try to fake it. And again, the dancer rhetoric is always fake it till you make it. And now I'm like, nah. Could someone just show me?
Yeah.
I got no clue. I'm like, well, Jab, what's that? Yo, those were fun.
No.
And it's inspired actually my prompt for my robot for your quickfire game.
Okay.
And I think actually because we potentially have one more week where it could be the producer D's Nuts and Stormy show. And I think what I'd love to do is almost like a getting to know you, but in a non-pressured way. So almost like a true and false. I think I'm actually going to change the language to agree or disagree.
Okay.
Because I think that implies it's more based on opinion rather than like, this is a true fact. Okay? So I have 7 warm-ups and seven slightly spicier questions. So this little, again, rapid fire little game that I have prepared with my robot is agree or disagree. So I'll read it and you can say agree or disagree, and you can also elaborate if you want to, or I'll just take the vibe cue and ask the next question. Okay? Number 1, being a beginner is more fun when nobody's watching. Agree or disagree?
In my current season right now, I think I disagree.
You like the pressure, the accountability.
Yeah. But also, definitely now, if I'm a beginner and I fuck something up, I like to have people around me to laugh at me, to
I
laugh
see.
with me.
Like exposure therapy.
Yeah.
That's so cooked. I like to torture myself.
Yeah. You
Yeah.
either laugh or cry.
I love that.
And why not do it amongst other people?
I love that. It makes so much sense when you say it, but I was surprised by your answer at first. Number 2, you can tell pretty quickly whether you're naturally good at something.
Agree.
Solid.
Yeah.
Number 3, adults are worse at being beginners than kids are.
Agree. Absolutely agree. I think as we grow older, we're very comfortable in, the stuff that we have learnt over the years. So we've obviously taught ourselves in a way to kind of react or do something, and we don't like to get out of being comfortable. But as kids, they don't care. They're like, whatever. I'm gonna go jump up the stairs.
Yes.
Whereas I'm like, no, I'm gonna actually hurt my knees.
Risk analysis.
Yes.
Okay. Before, if you're not enjoying something at the start, you probably won't enjoy it later.
Disagree.
It's easier to start something new when you already know someone who is also doing it.
Agree.
Being bad at something is actually quite freeing.
I somewhat agree.
Okay.
We gotta, if you're willing to explore being uncomfortable, then that is free. Where you don't have to be perfect at something, and knowing that you're always learning.
Yeah. And so then there would be situations where being bad at something without that mindset would not be very freeing.
No. If we're unkind to ourselves, then that would be like torture, essentially.
Yikes.
Yep.
Number 7, you should give something at least 3 goes. It's very specific. Before deciding it's not for you.
No.
Like,
Disagree.
How many goes is the...
Well, are you the go police?
I'm the potato go police. No. God. The go police is like, it's a myth, I think. Okay. Disagree. I love that. Okay, I've got a few spicier ones, apparently. Everyone should have to work a hospitality job at least once.
No. Disagree.
Beginner hospitality, been there. You should quit things you're bad at if you're not enjoying them.
You should quit things. Not necessarily.
Okay.
I mean, that you don't enjoy?
Yeah, if you're shit and you're not enjoying it,
Oh, okay.
should you
Agree.
persevere?
Agree. If you don't enjoy it, don't do it anymore.
Yeah, life's too short. Adults care way too much about looking stupid.
Adults care way too much about looking stupid. Yes, agree. Yep.
Feels. And finally, do you agree or disagree that being naturally talented at something is overrated?
I agree.
Yeah, me too. Sometimes it's a hindrance.
Yeah.
If you're talented. That was like me with math. And then I was like, whoa, shoot. I've been coasting. Okie dokie. Artichokes, being a beginner.
Our topic for today is being a beginner. And everyone is a beginner at some stage in their life.
Every day.
Every day. Yeah.
Sometimes.
So I guess I wanted you to talk about your boxing experience and how you started or how did you get into boxing and how did you feel when you started boxing, then obviously with where you are at now as a boxing coach.
Good question. It's good. I'm like, it's a great story. It has many different chapters actually. So I think if I had gone back and told myself the first time I had walked into any kind of like boxing situation that this would be my job, I would be like, that's so cooked. Like, and so it started because I essentially was trying to figure out who I was as a person, if not a dancer. And it was a time in my life where I was really like, I was thinking about going back to uni and I just done my first year at summer camp and I had come back to Australia and was not loving being involved in the dancing. And I signed up for a gym membership because I'd never really done any other kind of working out apart from just dance. And they did the Les Mills series of classes. So there's like body pump, body balance, body combat. And for me, I took a body combat class. I would love to see a video actually from back then, but we were still using like iPhone. And I loved, and it basically like, have you ever done one, a body combat class?
Yeah, I have.
Right. It's like dancing kind of. There's like choreography.
It's like dancing, like shadow boxing, but dancing.
Yes. And you do both sides and there's a track that's more like Tai Chi or like capoeira. And then there are tracks where it's like really high intensity. And I loved that there was like new releases. I loved that it was like, because I pick up movement sequences very, very well, right, as a dancer. You know, I would get there for my Saturday morning class and Titanium would start playing and I'd be like, all right, I love this one. You know, so I loved that. So that was kind of like my first jab, let's say. And I still did those classes for a while. And then I moved overseas at the end of my degree and a lot happened there, which is another episode, but I didn't box at all. Like I still just did my own, workouts. And when I came back to Australia in 2022, this little gym in Subiaco called Rumble had opened and it was like an American franchise. And one of the coaches who taught me body combat was teaching at Rumble. And we actually just moved into Subiaco and it kind of just all aligned. And I remember going to my first class and so Rumble, Les Mills body combat, everyone's in a really bright room in a leisure centre. There's like 80 of us, people have their spots. And then Rumble is like in the dark. They're still like familiar like tracks, songs, but all of a sudden I had like a boxing bag. It was the first time I'd hit a boxing bag. And so I was a member there for just over a year. And there was a bit of movement in the coaching team and I had kind of said, I'll be a coach. And the conversation probably didn't go like this because Georgie's like the nicest person. But my recollection is like, oh my God, great. You'd be amazing as a coach, except like you just like don't really know how to box. And I was like, yeah, that's so true. And so they recommended that I go get boxing training at Good Vibes. So I did PTs with Coach V and to learn how to box. And I guess when I think about being a beginner, that was the moment. Because for me, body combat is like dancing. And Rumble, it's very dark. And so, yeah, a beginner. But it was with Coach V, where I've got someone who's like, I've got a goal to become a coach, get better at boxing. And I'm like accountable. And it's completely different to hitting an aqua bag. And I remember feeling really overwhelmed and I was so scared of V. I was so scared that I made my husband John come with me for the first couple of months.
Okay.
Yeah, and John
Shout out,
hated
John.
it. Shout out, John. I'm so sorry. He loves Coach V, but he also hates it. He'll play team sports, but he's very happy that we don't do that together anymore. So, yeah, I guess from there, I just was training with Coach V and then went on to become a coach at Rumble and then did my first fight camp. And it was kind of there that my relationship, I guess, with Ben and Chaos and the coaching team at Good Vibes grew. And then, yeah, I remember Ben messaged me and was like, it's been on my mind. I need to talk to you about something. I was like, okay. And I was like, could you just text me? And he was like, nah. I was like, oh. And we kept missing each other. And I was like, man, I convinced myself I was getting kicked out of the gym for some
Am I
reason.
in trouble?
Right? I was like, and yeah, eventually the conversation was about becoming a coach at Good Vibes, which again, that another moment of being a beginner, even, yeah, fight camp beginner. Like, it's incredible how there were so many scary moments that I look back on and I'm like, whoa, if I didn't push through that, I definitely wouldn't be where I am or who I am or, yeah, I feel like that in terms of journey chronologically, that's how it happened. But
And
yeah.
how did you feel in those moments when you were a beginner? Because obviously when we're a beginner, we're learning something new, and learning means that we're uncomfortable, right? And that plays a big part in us, you know, dissecting ourselves as human beings, and it plays on our like childhood traumas of, are we good enough? Should I continue doing this? What were the thoughts that you had, and how did you kind of come out the other end being like, I am actually worthy of being a coach, and or I'm worthy of being a coach and being where I'm at now?
It's a great question. I think worthy is such a good word. And I think it's probably a combination of coming from a dance background and being a people pleaser, or hiding behind perfectionism. And even listening to you ask the question, I was like, man, I feel like I'm a beginner every single day and I actually look forward to it. And there are times where I don't understand something. Even Monday night, I was like, V's trying to coach the beginners through a finisher. And I was like, what's that thing called again when you just move? I was like, I want to teach it. I just don't remember what it's called. Like, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, when you do have, like with dance, it's like everything has to be perfect. And if it's not perfect, you don't get a good spot in the routine. You're not one of the teacher's favorites. You don't get placed at comps. You know, you go and do this like beautiful piece of like art and performance, and then you don't get a trophy, so you think you suck. And like a lot of your worth is defined by outcome. And so for me, that was definitely when I was training with V, like that was still my mindset. Everything had to be perfect, and I couldn't take feedback or even not even criticism. Just like, hey, yeah, so can you just like rotate? I'd be like, I should leave. Yeah, I really suck. And then even fight camp, the same sort of thing. I remember my first sparring session, I was like, yeah, I'm not doing this camp anymore. It was Katie. Shout out. I had no resilience. And I think part of that is really not understanding my identity and tying it to a successful outcome of something, like feeling only worthy if X, Y, Z.
Yep.
So I think the moments that really shaped my, let's call it the resilience effect, is the tipping point of I'm really scared about doing this thing, but I really, really want to do it.
Yeah.
That's been my boxing journey, I think. And coaching, I remember just being like, Ben had asked me, I'd done my shadow shifts, and even as I was like getting ready to teach just the warm up by myself, I was like, I just think I'm too scared. But still the want to do it more.
Yeah.
And I remember after one of the classes that I'd coached with Ben, we were just sitting, we were just chatting and you know, we were talking about the class, talking about coaching. And all of a sudden I had this light switch realization, and I was like, are you giving me feedback right now on my coaching? And he's like, yeah. I was like, yeah, okay, why am I not crying though? Like, why am I okay?
Yeah.
And we've talked about it a lot over the last however many months now, and the skill to be able to take feedback for let's even say your performance and not have it affect who you are as a person. That's been like the critical piece of you can try things, you can be a beginner, you can start from nothing, and it actually doesn't matter what your performance in that particular thing is, because you're still the same beautiful, worthy, compassionate, curious, empathetic, beautiful, kind human, regardless of how good your jab is. And I think that learning that and having those moments where, yes, you know, I've been helped immensely by the people around me, but I have had to plant my seeds myself. that's the way that I coach now too. Like, so
Love that.
yeah,
No,
that's okay.
no, that answered the
Okay.
question. Yeah.
So yeah, I think, yeah, so much of it is tied to how you think people are perceiving you. And I see it, I guess, because the majority of my working week is boxing basics, which is people coming off the street into a beginner's boxing class. I'm like, first of all, do you know your left and right? Because we can start there. Look. And then the other part of my week is the introduction to sparring. So intermediate advanced boxers who are beginners now again. And I could do it for the rest of my life, just watching people's journey and, just like I said, empowering them to remember that beyond their jab, they are still the same worthy person. And it's funny, actually, the analogy I've been talking about a lot lately, as we're kind of getting ready for another fight camp, is a lot of people will be beginning their sparring journey at their first fight camp, their first 8-week, kind of team but individual sport vibes. And I'm like, the destination is over there. And in a lot of things, especially dance, let's say, everyone has to fucking be in a shiny matte black Tesla and they have to be all in a line. We're driving the same speed. And if we don't then we just got to reverse a little bit, line it up again. And I was like, sure, some things need to be that. But fight camp, the way that I see it, is like, it's like over there and someone's rocking up and they've got a BMW, but they also have flat tire. And this person over there is in Artie's dump truck toy and someone's in a wheelbarrow. I'm going to walk on my hands. I've got roller skates on. I reckon Coach V would be in one of those old school bicycles. He's got the big wheel and the middle wheel and he's, yeah, I feel like Ben's probably on a BMX bike. Like everybody is on their own vehicle. And rather than be like, hold on, everybody, we all need a Tesla. We've got to look the same, move the same, feel the same. I'm like, I've got to get a wheelbarrow and roller skates over there at the same time. What are we going to do? How are we going to get there? Because I'm not going to try to turn you into something else if that's what. And I think that's part of the like empowering part of being a beginner, is knowing that you are what you are and that's okay to use that. So
I love that analogy.
Thanks,
I'm
dude.
going to use that in my day to day. But also, Teslas are not a vibe.
Right. And
They're such ugly things.
yes.
But you can be ugly if you want.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's, if you were born to be a Tesla, great, awesome, be that. But don't
expect everyone to be the same as you.
Yes. And as you'll know as well, once you get into the boxing ring in a sparring context where there's no choreography, if you're a wheelbarrow trying to be a push bike, it's actually just you're gonna not utilize what you have. And that's, I think, what's really beautiful about boxing is there's so many different ways to access what you're good at, to celebrate, to it's not starting with nothing.
And I think also as we kind of morph from being like a baby to a toddler to a child, a teenager, and adulthood, I think most of us will feel as we reach adulthood that we stop learning.
Yeah.
And we stop being beginners. Like, that's it. Whereas I've learnt over the last maybe a few months that learning all the time is like the best thing to ever do. It's okay to put yourself into uncomfortable situations and go back to being a beginner, because the more you immerse yourself in being uncomfortable in uncomfortable situations, the more that kind of gives you the confidence to kind of go out into the world and be like, hey, actually, I'm not a perfect person and I don't know what that is. Can you just tell me that? I feel, like what you said before, I feel like that's empowering.
Yeah.
And in being a beginner, we have to learn to be kind to ourselves. We can be kind to every single other person, but the question is, why can't we be kind to ourselves? If you kind of flipped that the other way, where, if you were to be kind to other people and you were to flip it and you weren't kind to that person, like, how does that make them feel? How does that make you feel? So I think that's the important thing, is that when we're learning something, we have to be kind to ourselves. We're not supposed to be born into this world knowing how to do everything.
Absolutely everything. That's beautiful. And it's a beautiful share, I think, knowing some of the beginner opportunities you've taken up. I think even this year, like the two themes that are really like resonating are like vulnerability and self-acceptance. So even going out into the world, let's say, you got to ask for directions. Like maybe you have more confidence to do that because you're more willing to be vulnerable. Because if the person's like, I can't help you, I don't want to help you, you're like, oh, okie dokie, well,
Yep.
I'll just go that way. Whereas I think without the vulnerability of being a beginner and like putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation is like, you don't have that skill. You're like, I will just be lost forever. Like,
Yep. I will just stay in my little shell and just hope someone just gives me the answers. And
Yes.
we know that not everyone can give us the answer.
No.
We need to get out there and do that ourselves.
Yes. Or being okay with never having an answer. And I think the self-acceptance piece, like when you talk about being kind to yourself, I'm like, people more than we realize, I think they don't deserve love. Love from others, love for himself. And that's why they look for it in so many different places. And it is really hard to be a beginner because you have to be willing to look undesirable or like you don't know what you're doing. And we're built up for so long that like that is success. And, you know, even in school, this is right, that is wrong, this is good, this is not, this is. And you do the same thing over and over and over again. But until you can be vulnerable and show love to yourself, being a beginner is either not accessible or not, I was going to say worthwhile. You know, how do you think people push past that barrier? Like, let's say there's someone who's like, absolutely, I'm not going to try that new thing. Where do you think comes a point, or like what things need to happen for that person to then try something?
I think being curious as to why and understanding their, I guess, their resistance, what their boundary or their blockage is. And once you have an understanding of that, you can slowly people can slowly work their way through it with guidance from friends or family or coaches or whatever that is. I know, like in my work, I obviously manage people. So, managers back in my day, I've had managers.
My day.
Guys, I'm old. Managers that I've had previously or that I've experienced previously have always been like, this is how you do it. It's kind of my way or no way kind of thing. But I think nowadays you kind of have to be curious about how someone what people's thought processes are. And in understanding that, you can go, okay, I understand that. Let's navigate it this way. It's kind of like your analogy before is we're trying to get to over there, but we're all different types of vehicles, brands, the way that we operate. So let's do it your way, but let me know what you are so that I can help you get there.
Yes.
So yeah, I think curiosity is a big piece of it, and then just working with the person, because then that makes them kind of feel accepted and valued, and so they're able to be vulnerable. If a person isn't safe to do that, then they're not going to open up to you, and you're just going to keep hitting that blockage.
Yeah, I think it's, the word environment is what's coming out. Like, there needs to be a supportive environment for that person to, start to, I don't know, wonder. I'm trying to think how I want to ask this question, because I also feel like there's an element when you are a beginner at something, it can imply that you have had to leave one thing to start another, or that something has kind of like come to the end of a season, or like it's, it's just time to move on. How do you deal with the like guilt or any kind of feelings about like leaving somewhere that was a safe place or a home? And it's not that anything like is bad, but it's just you're ready for the next thing, and that could be like a job, even a relationship, a gym. Like, how do you feel like we move through that?
There's a topic that I would love to talk about on the next episode. Maybe not the next one, but at some point it's grief. Right?
Yeah.
So grief, for most of us, what we know grief is when we've lost like a family member or lost a pet. That's type of grief that we're more familiar with. The other grief that people don't talk about is the grief when you change from being maybe an older version of yourself to a new version, because you've lived a certain way for so long, and now that you're a new person, you're always going to have some attachment to that old version of you. So when you're a beginner, or I'm going to use an example of boxing. I really loved boxing. And obviously I did it too much towards the end of last year with fight camp and just going to too many classes. And whilst I love I still love boxing. And whilst I loved still going to that, I was just physically, mentally burnt out from it. And for me, I felt like I needed a new hobby because I was getting bored of boxing. I was like, oh, I need a new hobby. I need to do something. I was like, okay, I'm going to try something else. And ironically, I did dance classes. I did hip hop dance
Really
classes.
flips the order.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love this.
And yeah, my first class, I was nervous as anything, but I had such a different mindset to it. I'm like, I'm just going to look silly, whatever. If I forget the steps, I'm just going to move my feet and pretend I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a grief in knowing you've done something well for so long and then you transition into something else. It's kind of being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I feel like you got to embrace the uncomfortableness. And it just makes you such a confident person, more confident and more accepting of who you are as a person. Because at the end of the day, we're all humans trying to get by and live our lives. So why judge a person for wanting to be or wanting to try something new? Just let people be happy, you know?
I'd also argue, even you speaking last week to this week, is that I don't know how you feel internally, but you just seem so much more like, meh, I'm not a beginner anymore at just being on camera.
I'm still so nervous.
An hour. She's like, I'm shitting bricks. But yeah, I think it's really exposure. I feel naturally where the cadence is going is I feel like I have maybe one little piece of actual advice. And if you have a piece of advice you'd like to share as well, otherwise we are very welcome to do our one word at a time advice until we land where we land. Okay.
Yep.
So my real advice is a lot of the time we get really good at imagining the worst case scenario. And quite often those are like fantasies. And if you actually imagine the actual logistical worst case scenario, a lot of the time it's something that you can manage. So let's say, for example, whoa, this is so extreme. I was chatting to this girl at the sauna the other day and she was quitting her job and she was really nervous and I was trying to just be curious about the reasons why and how she planned to deliver her notice and if there was a notice period and compelled her to do that and just stay true to not giving in to them, probably guilting her into staying kind of vibe. So we were talking about her resigning and at first she was really catastrophizing and she was like, and they're probably going to make my life really difficult and all of these things like probably could have been true. Even things like we worry about reputation and she's like, I don't know anyone else going to hire me and all of this. And when I was like, let's just absolutely smash out all these scenarios. Let's try to exposure before we get there. So you send the email and they come back and they say, well, just so you know, you really suck. And now we're not going to have someone and it's all your fault and we're going to lose all our money and we'll probably lose our houses. I'm like, yeah, that sounds really bad. But none of that is because you are leaving this job. And even if they, play out play that card and then, I was like, let's say that they're mean to you. I was like, what does that feel like? And she's like, well, they probably tell the people that work at the front desk that I'm, a quitter. And I was like, okay. I was like, does it make it true? And she was like, well, I guess no. I was like, okay. So, and it was actually just taking the time to slow down. And yeah, when you are a beginner, when you're trying new things, yes, you might go to beginner hip hop and fall over and your pants fall off and then all of a sudden you forgot that you didn't wear underwear today. And you know what I mean? Yeah. But also, no, the worst that is going to happen is, I don't know, maybe someone says something to you that isn't very kind and you just think, wow, okay, who hurt you?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think my advice is instead of thinking of the worst thing that could possibly happen, just think of the worst thing that's going to happen and then just know that you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Love that.
Yeah.
I'm going to actually play on the back of that.
Ooh.
Is a lot of us will always think about the worst case scenario, but how about we think about what the best case scenario is? So if I continued with the hip hop classes, imagine me being like the best dancer ever and I end up being a backup dancer for Bruno Mars.
Legit, I believe that is a plausible plot in this lifetime.
But yeah, instead of thinking bad stuff all the time, let's always think about the positives.
Yeah. Yep.
That is mine.
Lean into the vulnerability. Thinking of worst case is fear. And then we just tame it.
Yep.
Okay. Are we ready for this? Would you like to start or would you like me to start?
I will start.
Okay.
Being
the
best
isn't
always
goals.
Gold. Goal.
Isn't always goals.
Goals.
Being the best isn't always goals.
That's great.
Being
The best.
isn't
Always
always
the
goals.
goals.
Isn't always the goals.
Isn't always goals.
Oh, goals. Being the best isn't always, I think,
Goals.
goal.
Goal.
Yeah. So we'll see you next week.
See you next week.
If this isn't 20 gigs, you will. Have we learned? I don't know. We're just beginners. Okay. Hi. Hello there. Basically, I just am here to let you know that, like, what are you doing? I said no beginners on set. Carry on. Scene. Smokey, what do you think about being a beginner? Do you want to be on the pod? I could get a waiver form if you want. Do you have anything to say? Would you like to nibble on the microphone?